I remember back in the early days of the internet, one of the most easy ways to get popular is just to say that a villain of a story was actually the hero. It applies to all forms of media, but easily the most popular example was Disney films. I thought these were all stupid. These posts always exclude crucial information about the villain in question that make them seem obviously evil. However, I like this idea, so I'm gonna see if I can argue in favor of every single theatrically animated Disney villain, including Pixar. I will try to make a genuine defense for every character, but if I can't, filthy memes time. Also, just making it clear that no, I don't think any of these characters are genuinely right. This is just all for fun. I'm gonna have to defend child murderers, so I gotta make that clear. Also, I'm going to be intentionally twisting the truth a bit. The next note is that Lightyear is the most recent film I'm talking about, so one, spoilers, I'll give a mention before I talk about it, and two, don't ask me about anything released after Lightyear. Oh, and these films are excluded either due to having no villain, or their antagonist barely counting. Let's finally start this. I mean, if Mirror that you yourself owns is saying you're not the most beautiful ever, that honestly feels like something you should be angry over. So, it's been a little bit since I've last seen Pinocchio, so I don't remember this character so much, so just give me a second to look up him and... Jesus Christ. Okay, look. Technically never kidnaps any of the kids. They come of their own volition, and you could argue this is a learning experience. The kids do a bad thing, so they're punished. The punishment is becoming donkeys for all their life, but shut up. Okay. I know Turnaball is the embodiment of evil or whatever, but he technically never does anything evil in this entire short. He tortures some demons, but they're demons, it's good to torture them. He's a good guy, it's canon. Barely counts, dude's just doing his job. It counts as animal cruelty, but back in its time, this was considered okay. I mean, never get his backstory or motive. For all we know, killing Bambi's mom is the only way he could feed his family or something. Easiest one on here. Teddy Tatty generally believes that there's an opera singer trapped in the whale and said that the whale can actually sing, which, is kind of an understandable mindset. Even the film says not to be mad at him. This applies to all Jack and the Beanstalk retellings, but Mickey and his crew are invading his property. He's fully in the right to attack. Ichabod's a fricker throughout this entire film. He's sexist, he's self-centered, and who's the villain? A man who was beheaded in the Civil War and is just looking to fill up that space. Who's the real bad guy here? Besides society. This was the first really hard one. While Tremaine may not be the best mother figure to Cinderella, she still took her in, and she's taken care of decently well. Yeah, she does a lot of chores. That's not that bad, all things considered. Okay, the nature of Wonderland is that everyone in it must act crazy and insane. Because of that, you can't blame the Queen of Hearts for everything she does. She's just setting a good example for her subjects. Hook literally had no beef with Pan until he chopped his hand off. Pan also kidnaps children and constantly harasses Hook and his crew. Yeah, honestly, yeah, okay, Hook does do some fricked up stuff, but it's really minor compared to all the garbage Pan's done. The rat's one goal is to kill a baby. I hate babies. She's literally the only person in the entire kingdom that wasn't invited to a baby shower. Her dialogue implies that's the only reason why she's pissy. All you had to do was invite her to the shower and she'd be okay. You had one job! You see, Dalmatians killed her mom. Also, from what I can tell, the fur carts were less controversial back then, and Cruella has nothing against Dalmatians themselves, she just thinks the coats look good. Okay, so there's official comics based on this film, where Mim basically becomes a good guy, and she doesn't really do anything evil, and is just a quirky best friend of Magica De Spell. I know it's not the film, but what do I say about the film version? She appears for a single scene, and she doesn't do anything besides thinking that a chicken is a good thing to turn into in a battle to the death. Shere Khan is literally a tiger. He wants to kill Mowgli because he's a tiger eat meat. You can't bring Shere Khan to court because, what's his crime? Being a tiger? Being a tiger isn't a crime. And honestly, I'm tired of pretending that it is. While it's based on a misunderstanding, it doesn't change the fact that someone is planning on giving a large amount of money to cats who can't do anything with it. Honestly, it's a miracle that he doesn't even do anything worse than trying to kill the cats. Also, the plot of someone trying to kill a cat because a whipped old lady related to them in some way is about to pass and is giving their money to their pet cat is literally the plot of Garfield 2. I can't believe that that film is so influential that a film released decades before it is ripping it off. It's made very clear that John's mother does not love him. She's heavily favored his brother to the point where he freaks out and sucks his thumb whenever she's mentioned. This clearly justifies him embezzling money and trying to kill Friar.
Prince John's mother never hugged him. Is it that sad?
She's nice to her pet crocodiles, sometimes. Listen, no one ever talked about this film outside of that 1 second appearance of the shirtless lady. What do you want from me? Another case who barely qualifies. Amos can be a nice guy, he cares deeply about his dogs, he follows hunting rules, he doesn't kill Todd despite being able to. He's really not that bad. Also, if he did kill Todd like he planned on, that means he would have never gotten Fox and the Hound too, so he's truly the hero of the story. So, an ancient skeleton monster who tries to commit complete genocide on the human race. How can I possibly justify this? Well, you see, he looks really cool. While Ratigan is mostly pretty evil, he does care about his cat, proving that he isn't all that bad. Heck, while the song mentions some nasty stuff like drowning all her friends and widows, it's never actually shown, so as far as we know, it's just all made up. Now you may say that we see him killing his own henchman twice. Pretty easy one. Fagin knew exactly what he was signing up for when he asked for money from Sykes. He's only got himself to blame. Sykes just wants his deal fulfilled. Also, he's nice to his dogs. And we are now into the Renaissance. As these handful of films have Disney's undeniably most popular villains, they also have undeniably the most amount of people trying to defend them. This can get uncomfortable real fast. Ursula technically never broke her deal with Ariel. Yes, she tries to interrupt her process of being with Eric, but it's not against the rules. Ariel didn't even read it, so she's got no one to blame but herself. A lot of her action can be blamed on her just trying to live under Triton's tyranny. Also, like last two, she's nice to her pets. Okay, this is easily the hardest one to defend so far. He knows the animals he hunts are sentient, yet he enjoys torturing them regardless. He tries to kill a child. He even breaks the streak of caring about pets. Anything I can defend him with? No, forget this guy, lol, he's just a dick. Easily the most frequently defended character on this list. While him hitting on Belle isn't exactly something I can defend, he never does anything illegal, it's just flirting. And come on, if you see this thing and you know it's kidnapped both an old man and a woman in the past, you'd probably want to take it down too. No one has her obvious sexism and attempted murder just like Gaston. The Sultan's an idiot and Jasmine doesn't want to be a princess and wants to go out on her own because she has a whole world to see. Jafar trying to get the throne is kind of understandable. At has both a plan and a brain. Jafar was cooked out of the throne because he just happened to be born after Mufasa. He's the only one who gives the hyenas the time of day, and the fricker literally has a giant scar on his face. Honestly, everything he does is justified. Simba literally comes in and says, "Hey uncle, you ever think about how I'm gonna be king and you're never gonna rule? Frick you, your father was killed in a stampede!" So, I gotta defend a person who is a real person and is rampantly racist in his film. Disney, why you gotta do this to me? I mean, Radcliffe is greedy, but in the grand scheme of things, he is trying to help his country. As he states, he plans on bringing the gold back. He's only doing it for attention, but still. Oh boy. This is definitely the one people have been waiting for. How can I possibly defend one of the most universally seen as pure evil characters in fiction? I can make this a joke, but I'll try to be serious. Despite all the awful he's done, he does, for the most part, follow the rules. He'll push those rules to the absolute extreme, but he does take his job as a judge seriously. Also, while refusing to help Quasimodo is obviously not a nice thing, you can make an argument that he's doing it to teach a lesson. He did tell Quasi specifically to not leave the tower. While he only doesn't get on God's good list, he did still raise a baby for 20 years, and while Quasi isn't the brightest, he's still a nice guy and seems well enough taken care of. If you stretch super hard and intentionally ignore evidence that invalidates my case, you can very easily come to this description. That's how MatPat writes his videos, after all. He makes his own case for him. Bro is forced to watch over dead people for the entirety of his eternal life. His brother is the king of the gods. And you thought Scar got the short end of the stick. When Shan Yu realizes that Mulan is the soldier he fought earlier, he immediately accepts her being a woman in war. It shows that despite him being a war-hungry, murderous monster, he does indeed respect women. Also, he tries to murder her, but baby steps. This was surprisingly hard. Closest I could think of a defense is you could argue that, he isn't trying to hurt the gorillas, besides Kerchak, obviously. Yeah, for a kind of standard hunter, he's surprisingly hard to defend. While he do be on fire, his rage of destruction was kind of necessary evil. After his rampage, the plants grow back even more lush and green and pretty due to the ashes and lava rock. This actually mimics real-world fire ecology. So really, he did more good than bad in the long run. You're just trying to survive. You can't bash nature for being nature. Also, one is much smaller than the other. When the small one dies, the bigger one is pissed. So it's possible that it's parent and child. Also, shout out to Dinosaur for being the one 2000s era animated film to have absolutely no meme rival whatsoever. He's the one that's trying to kill Kuzco. From our perspective, that's awful, because Kuzco is hilarious. But from the perspective of the people he rules, probably a good idea, since he's egotistical and never uses his power to help his people at all, despite them literally begging him to. A new ruler is a good idea, and this one is voiced by Eartha Kitt, so like bonus. You know what? Frick trying to justify a clearly evil dude as morally right, Lyle Tiberius Rourke is a personification of a Sigma male. Goes to a magic hidden world for only money, overthrows an ancient tribe, yeets his second command out of a helicopter. You don't need woman as a Chad. His name is literally Loyal to Rourke, genuine Sigma male. After 625 experiments that turned out to be evil from a self-titled evil genius, he's completely in his rights to not trust Stitch. Heck, him going to get Stitch from Earth, it's just him following orders. And yeah, he also kidnaps Lilo, but like, who hasn't kidnapped a kid? In these hard times, food is expensive. So I know Silver is the main antagonist, but since his good points are much more obvious, we're looking at Scroop here. Scroop may seem cruel, but he's part of a mission to get treasure. It's a dangerous excursion, and if you're not all in, you're dead. So Scroop looking down and chastising Silver for going soft and his care for Jim is understandable. You don't want your leader of a dangerous mission to chicken out in the last second. How does he pick up stuff without snapping it in half? Okay, this is a deleted scene, but it was going to be revealed that Slim's plan is that he's kidnapping all these cows, not because he wants to control the area, like the actual movie, but because he wants to have a cow army so he can overthrow the President of the United States. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you are. That's red as frick, and I am fully behind it. Easy one. They're trying to get their kid back. And once they do, they're set everything bad they did. Also, they try to kill Buck Cluck, and we here stand anyone who does. Imagine being created for a single purpose, only for your own creator to call you a failure, then toss you aside. I turned to My Odyssey Creepypasta too. Also pretty easy. Dude's just trying to run his show, and while he's a little charming about it, he never does anything illegal, and it's all for the sake of the show. Facilier was a man massively down on his luck. He's a poor man in New Orleans, just trying to make a life for himself by any means necessary. His target is still rich and powerful, even helping another person down their luck out. Please ignore that part of his plan includes giving everyone in New Orleans souls to actual demons. Golfa kidnaps a child. Not cool. However, she does take extremely good care of Rapunzel in that time, and she lets her keep a chameleon that's based. Also, have you seen the Tangled show? Bro, there's like an actual elder demon in that. I'll lock myself in Tower 2 if Goat Hentai McGee was outside. Okay, tell me what character I'm describing here. A game character leaves their game for selfish reasons and completely throws out the lives of the people they know and their old game. If you said I was describing King Candy, or Ralph from the first movie, actually, you're both wrong. This is about Vanellope from the second movie. If she can do all this and be shown in the right, why can't Candy? If Hades was hard to the extreme, Hans is Hades on crack. 12 older brothers, you missed your birthright to rule just because your father couldn't pull out. And I know that's heavily hinted at, that he might have been brainwashed by the trolls, and yeah, he's innocent. Hans down. Besides obvious everything he's doing is just to avenge his daughter, he's got a valid point that Cray is cutting corners, which is something you should never do with lives on the line. And also, it was never stated that he started the fire. Since the school is full of high-tech experiments, it's not out of the question that something went wrong. Zootopia's racism metaphors can be read so many different ways, and like, unlike human races which have no difference besides skin, there's a very clear difference between a lamb and a fox, as in one is made to kill far easier. She cares deeply for the play to prey, and while she may have gone too far in her efforts, there's an extremely valid reason why. Hey, have you ever gotten your leg ripped off? As a kid, it's cool, great conversation starter. As anything else, kind of a bummer. So wanting to kill Maui after he does that? Justified. Especially after he and Moana basically break into his home and try to steal his stuff. I mean, he's just a program following orders. Can't really help what he's doing. Also, everybody's voiced by John DiMaggio, and he's a Chad, so yeah, author's off the hook. You know what? No, frick you, I give up on looking for this one. He only appears for like 30 seconds in a flashback, and in the tie-in book that fetches him out, it's just 352 pages saying how he hates his kids, and is racist, and he probably jaywalks, so frick you, I'm not doing this one. I'm not even gonna try here. Like, did you actually care? Do you remember this dude's name? No, I thought not. Everything Namaari did is for her people, who have been suffering for a really long amount of time. Also, she killed Sisu, based. And that was every single Disney villain defended. I hope you enjoyed this video, and peace. I forgot Pixar. Wait, Sid has no idea the toys are alive. He's just a kid playing with his stuff. Even the director's commentary on the DVD says he's a normal one and Andy's weird. He still respects his mom's final wish to look after his brother, even though he's a hindrance to his plan. Also, he shares all loot with his gang, so he's got the heart somewhere in the exoskeleton.
I'll tell you what's not fair. spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be sold.
Yes, that right there, that's my argument. Well, banishing Mike and Sully is a dick move. Everything Waternoose does is solely for his company, which, I might remind you, literally powers a majority of the city, and they're in an energy crisis. He genuinely does care for Sully, as shown in his conversation with Randall, but them messing with Boo might have shut down the company, and at the end of the day, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Does he even count? Same argument as Sid, but he doesn't even harm the fish anyway. In Nemo's case specifically, he noticed a fish with a broken fin swimming in the open. So yeah, his mind, it's probably the best to take him home in a safe tank. Syndrome was just an innocent kid who was turned down by superheroes and now wants to make sure no one suffers like he did. So he wants to give everyone powers. Of course, he's doing this gracious act of kindness by selling inventions or being a millionaire instead of just giving them away. And this plan is just a footnote on his main goal of gaining fame, which is a plan that includes backstabbing his only friend and murdering innocent children and genocide. And I can't do this. I can't defend the motherfricker. He's pure evil. Frick you. No, I'm not doing this one. No. Chick's disgracer. Yes, not helping the king after he crashes is a rude move, but it's part of a sporting event. They all know the potential risks. Why should he stop? Hey, do you know that rats are disgusting vermin? You most certainly don't want anywhere near your food unless you're Vlad the Impaler. Why is the guy trying to keep rats out of his kitchen the bad guy? Not to mention that he's keeping a failing restaurant afloat and relatively successful. He's just following the orders of the boogeyman from Billy and Mandy told him centuries ago. Not to mention that between how ruined Earth is, plus how humanity had been surviving for several centuries, it's just logical to stay on course. He literally found a skeleton of a long extinct bird and people claim fake news. That's enough to drive anyone insane. Not even factoring that he was in Brazil alone for God knows how long, only his dogs, who he generally cares for, but has clearly seen innumerable amounts of them die. All this is enough to make anyone lose their marbles. You can't blame the dude for his actions. He's just desperately needs a therapist. Have you ever left anything somewhere? What's your first plan of action to find it? Go back to where it is, right? Well, Daisy didn't do that when she lost Lotso, despite obviously being the last place she left him. So it's understandable why Lotso was so hurt by this. Fun fact, I hate Lotso, so I really hate having to defend him here. Being a lemon car in the Cars universe is basically the equivalent of being born with every single handicap as a human. You're deemed useless just because of circumstances you can't control. Disproportionate retribution maybe, considering all the innocent people he's either killed or tried to kill. But hey, life gives you lemons, you know? Bro has land divided across 4 people, and when he asks for power, which yeah, okay, dick move. But that doesn't matter, because Bro gets turned into a furry and is forced to lose his mind and control over his own actions. He's not evil. He's just a freaking bear. Yes, I'm covering Randall over Johnny. I'm biased. Frick you. Here's the funny lizard man. Starting university, he seems like a nice innocent guy. He's got a lot of insecurities, he just wants friends, he wears glasses for a single scene. Even though that's what he's wearing for other posters and merchandise I was lied to, he's not that bad. He joins Roar Mega Roar because they're the best in the business. You could argue he's turning against Mike, but he clearly joined it before Mike even thought to ask him. And it's not like Mike's any better. He has no faith or care in Uzma Kappa, and he's just using them to join the games. Randall clearly pulls his weight because Sully's such a giant trad he fails. But so did a lot of Roars, and Sully did basically ruin his life. Bro lost all of his street cred to a college dropout. In Ink, while he's clearly more antagonistic, I'd be too if after 20 or so years, I kept getting one-upped by the same fricker from college who basically ruined my life. It's also never stated how much of the plan is his and how much is Waternoose's. Seeing Waternoose is the mastermind, almost anything could be on his end. Yes, Randall's my favorite character in this video. How could you tell? Do I like him in a somewhat simpy way? A surprisingly large amount of his fan base looks at him. That's not what this video is about. Waiting for a storm to come around makes it pretty easier for a scavenger and is a very common tactic in animals. It's only considered evil here since they're sentient. This is the time code for the Chick Hex segment. It saves me a lot of time. You and your best friend are working towards a common goal for over a decade. Then suddenly, without warning, he hacks off without even talking to you. It's a massive jerk move on Hector's part to want to see his family, including his young daughter, and justifies murder and theft completely. No memes here. They massively fricked up Evelyn and made her far more sympathetic than they intended. Her father was murdered because of his own over-reliance on superheroes. And that's a valid point, considering that there was nothing the heroes could have logically done in this scenario knowing their power sets. Because of this event, she doesn't want anyone to end up like her family, and will do anything to stop supers, which as the films have shown, cause almost as much harm as good. Not to mention that she clearly cares about her brother. Now, okay, She's not 100% innocent. I can forgive the train thing, since it seems clear she knows Helen will save everyone, but setting up the ship to crash with several innocent people on it and aim it towards the city, yeah, that's indefensible and should clearly cross the line here. But at the start, she has a valid point. Almost didn't even include her. She just wants to get adopted and never actually harms Woody, is also very genuinely friendly, and of course redeems herself in the end. His face is really funny. And like, he's just another mindless monster. Perfect example of someone just doing the job. Carrie's task was counting every single soul who enters into the afterlife. And when Joe basically cheats death, she tries to stop him from, you know, breaking the laws of the afterlife itself. If she wasn't so self-absorbed, no one would even consider labeling her as a villain. Hercule was raised in a town where everyone was scared of sea monsters. And for good reasons. They're literally monsters. And he's a bit more realistic than the rest of the town, who immediately starts liking the monsters they've hated for centuries. He's seen what they can do, so his fear is justified. Final one, thank God. Lurk in this film is trying his hardest to get everyone to return to Earth, which was the original goal of the Space Rangers. And considering how dangerous the world they're on is, it makes sense. So I started this video just wanting to do something funny and nice and simple, where I talk about villains, and end this video defending racism. Well, nothing I can do to save this. Time to destroy this channel.
Movie's over. Go home!